My name is Crosby Lyles, and this is News from the Can. This is kind of a little... the reason for this video is just to document where we are today. This is total column of methane right here. And this is from anthropogenic sources. Most of the methane that gets released in the atmosphere comes from the northern hemisphere, from anthropogenic sources, and yeah, it's pretty ridiculous looking. But I want to provide a little perspective here. Looking back, this is a video that I made back in 2017, May 23rd, 2017, and it's going to reference a video that was made around 2012. By somebody else. So what this graph is you're looking at here is this shows where this is a video. This is by I believe somebody at NOAA, and I can't remember the woman's name right offhand, but you know, these sources are eminently available. They did a big survey around 2012, 2013 because of, here, I'll just show you this. That, or am I going to listen to McPherson? And what he's talking about is a catastrophic cloud rate emission. Now, having said that, this is an interesting point here.
Currents increasing, the currents, I mean the movement of water beneath the sea ice increased. So everything looks anomalous. Even from our experience, from this 10 years, everything looks anomalous, and this is what makes him
2012
thinking that making him think that the worst thing might happen.
Look at this in a matter of days.
So that's 2012, and she says in the last 2 years. So we're talking 10 years. So we're talking about between 2002. Her comments there are things that she witnessed between 2002 and 2012. And listen to this guy. Okay, so that's her saying, you know, that her famous line where, you know, the big freak out thing, that the worst thing might happen. Okay. Which would be, you know, and then they were calling it the Arctic death spiral, right? Polar amplification, warming of the poles, which is a thing. I mean, that's that's an actual no bullshit. That's not, you know, this is not a denialist channel here. That's all legitimate stuff. But what our argument is, what happens at the end point. You know, that whole narrative that they were driving for a long time that was supposed to produce a revolution, basically a communist revolution, was engineered to basically by Vladimir Putin. You know, that's what it is. I mean, it's an engineered revolution, you know, to freak everybody out about, you know, that the Earth is going to turn into Venus. That's the end point. That we're just going to spiral out of control. The Earth's going to turn into Venus, and everybody's going to die. That's essentially the thing. It's terrifying. It's the narrative that they spun up is totally terrifying. So there's she's Russian, Natalia Shakova, doctor, and there are these comments that she just gave her 2012, and within that, this guy is so this video here must have been made somewhere around 2013, something like that. And he's looking between December of 2012 and July of 2013. That's what this time bar up here. And listen to what he says.
Just days. We're having this huge area. Look at this. Going, almost exploding with methane.
Okay. Now, okay, so, you know, and then there's, when is this? This is from 2017. So this is 4 years ago, almost 5 years ago, 4.5 years ago. And see a little bit of methane here. There's a lot of oil and gas exploration that goes on up in this area here, right? So I'm like, okay, that's pretty compelling. Not sure what service he's looking at for that. This is the death spiral This is a death spiral video. It's a short film, Arctic Death Spiral. What is the Arctic Death Spiral? I don't know if they have it. So there it is, Arctic, May 2013. There it is right there. Then that's pretty compelling, right? Just this area just exploding with methane. Okay, well, what do you think about this, homeboy? What do you think about that? How's that grab you? How's that grab you for exploding with methane? Yeah, that's... Here, let me see. This most recent video that I did. Reference, because so you can see. Possible reaction. Wow, there's that. Okay, here. What if I got nice here? That's total column. When is this? August. So there's August. Between August 24th and August 27th of 2021. And that's your total column. So this is what I'm saying. This is a winter time phenomenon. This is from, gas delivery infrastructure. And if you look at, which is like ridiculous. Let's go to the surface level and hit the play button. And it's India and China are pretty much off the team, but it's Europe in its entirety. Vattenfall, the energy company, the power company for Sweden, they contract out to manage the power systems for a lot of Europe, Germany, England. They've got a lot of wind farms, and they must have natural gas, right? And there you see all this natural gas wafting off from infrastructure, delivery, people burning running their furnaces because it's a cold winter. Right now it's December 19th, 2021, and it's cold out. So this is the surface level, and let's do total column again, which is pretty freaking absurd, right? And that's ridiculous. 850 hectopascals, which I think is right around 1,800 feet, something like that, up somewhere in there. Wow, look at that. Jesus. Good Lord. God. Wow. It's like a methane tornado. It's more like that's, wow. Wow. Holy shit. So what are we talking about? 1900. It's about 1.5 parts per million. I think if I'm reading this correctly, 1900 parts per billion. It's in parts per billion, ppbv. And, wow, that's step up to 500 hectopascals, which is right around the tropopause. Actually, no, I lie. That's not, I don't think so. That's just where that's where they measure your geopotential height. So you can see, holy shit. Wow. Damn, y'all. Somebody call Guy McPherson. Holy shit. Merry Christmas. Happy holidays. Jingle bells, jingle bells. Planet Earth's got her special little fucking holiday decoration out. green and red decorations. That's at the 500 hectopascal level. Wow. I wonder if anybody's, I see Elon Musk talking about spending, federal spending, and subsidies and things like that. Okay, so you go up a little bit more, and it's methane oxidizes, and you get production of ozone, which we're going to look at in a second. So that's 300 hectopascals. That is the tropopause is up there somewhere. And then 50 hectopascals, which is in the stratosphere, about 67,000 feet roughly, more or less, depending on where you are in relation to the equator. So, okay, so you have much less. Matter of fact, there's a nice big hole there over the Antarctic. And you have this big methane patch along the equator. Let's take a look at that ozone. So, before we do that, let's take a look at that carbon dioxide. There's your carbon dioxide, which actually doesn't look that well. It looks terrible compared to like a couple of years ago, right? Surface level. It's not that bad. Because carbon dioxide is very soluble in water. That's where you get rock weathering from, essentially carbonic acid in the raindrops, along with everything else. So you go up a little bit, it's a little bit more, 500 hectopascals, a bit more. Notice that it's heavier over the poles. 300 hectopascals. I think that's like 30,000 feet, somewhere like that. 500 hectopascals is like 18,000 feet, something like that. Wow, 50 hectopascals. And there it is. That's where your buildup is. Now, this says 1,000 parts per million, but on my phone it says 600 parts per million. Parts per million. And this could be totally generated just so that I'm seeing this and nobody else sees this. So if you see something, if you go to the Copernicus atmospheric monitoring service and you look at reactive gases, tell me if you leave a comment, tell me if you see something totally different here. I've been around with people before about this, but it's interesting that my phone says 600 parts per million and this says 1,000 parts per million. Whatever. Okay. It's important to note that greenhouse gas in the stratosphere causes global cooling, but what that means is the equator is going to be cooler than around the northern hemisphere, the poles of the northern hemisphere, because if you back this down closer to the earth, it's like a blanket. You hold a blanket closer to you in the cold weather and you're warmer. If you hold it out, then something similar to that. It's really it's a matter of statistics, where when the gas is closer to space, then statistically speaking, your infrared photons are going to escape. More of them are going to escape to space, and it causes global cooling. Somebody on here, Grind Up Baker, will tell you, and I'm sure he's right, that It has to do with lapse rate. If you have an abundance of greenhouse gas and the lapse rate is negative, then you're going to have global cooling. But if it's positive, then you'll have global warming. So there it is. Or maybe I got that backwards. If it's negative, then you have global warming. If it's positive, because the temperature of the stratosphere actually goes higher as you go up. So the air gets colder until you reach the tropopause, and then somewhere above that, I guess it reaches its minimum, the temperature, that is. There's no convection above the tropopause in the stratosphere. That's why it's stratified. It's stratified, so the wind basically moves horizontally. There's no vertical mixing, not much vertical mixing, and there's no convection. So you can see that the gases are closer to the surface. Yeah. So yeah. But that's quite a bit more. So that suggests that because it's in the stratosphere where the air is drier, that we're having an accumulation. That's what that looks like to me. Although I haven't, how they measure these things, and the tools and the mathematics that they use and the instrumentation and whatever to figure out what these concentrations actually are. I'm sure there's a lot involved in there, but this kind of sort of suggests, although this does look very similar to some measurements that I've seen over the past year, so that does suggest that there's an accumulation. And here we have the Climate Reanalyzer is a product of University of Maine, Climate Change Institute at University of Maine, and they will tell you what the sources are: NOAA Global Forecast System, the GFS, Finite Volume Cube Sphere Dynamic Core, FV3 to produce 16-day forecasts, 4 times daily. The maps are generated using NCAR command language, NCL. Daily means are calculated from 8 3-hourly time scales beginning at 0 universal time, which I guess is basically Greenwich Mean Time, right along this line here somewhere. So we see some deep cold happening in Siberia. That right there, the pink coloration is between -24 and -18 degrees Celsius below average, or below the mean, below the baseline temperature of 79 to 2000. And you can see that right along the equator over the Pacific. Of course, this does oscillate. This surface temperature does oscillate. This is 2-meter temperature anomaly, air surface temperature anomaly. So this warm patch here, red coloration, showing 18 degrees in the positive, or 18 degrees above the mean. If you look at that, okay, let me look at this again. There it is. Okay, it's right above Greenland. The precipitation, it's snow. Because snow is freezing, frozen water is going to remain 32 degrees until it changes phase. So that's just how that is. So there it is. There you have it. Let's see what this is right here. That looks like that's this bit right here. Okay. So you got a big ass cold patch there, and I think there was a bunch of snow in there. So, yeah. So the cold is where the precipitation is not. So yeah, let's see, what's that doing? Yeah, totally. That warm patch there is snow. So yeah, take a quick peek at so there's your carbon dioxide and ozone. Actually, it doesn't look that bad. I've seen it like ridiculous. Made a video where I'm like, really going off about that. Oh, that's like a hole there, right? Okay, surface. Yeah, not too bad. Notice how there's ozone over the surface of the water, which is interesting. That might be an effect of, sea salt and some other, the smell of the sea. Now I can't remember what the hell the name of that stuff is. Right offhand, it isn't. It's a chemical. It's a volatile organic compound. The smell of the sea. Could probably look it up. Okay, a little bit of 500 hectopascals. Thinning out quite a bit. 300 hectopascals. Okay, a little bit more. And 50 hectopascals, 67,000 feet roughly. Quite a bit more with a hole right along where the equator is. So, and that's where you got a little bit of a methane accumulation there. So feel free to weigh in, all the usual suspects, for a characterization about. So this is methane, right? So you see there's an accumulation of methane along the equator. There's an accumulation of carbon dioxide along the equator at the 50 hectopascal, high up in the stratosphere, 67,000-ish feet. Ozone is depleted in that same area. So that to me is a footprint, and I would really like to hear from knowledgeable people at INSEP, NCAR, NOAA, what have you, if that's, that's really an incorrect assumption to assume that what that means is because you have depleted ozone there, you have a higher level of methane at that 50 hectopascal level, and a higher level of, this more methane there at that 50 hectopascal, and CO2 also, that we can assume that's an indicator that this accumulation of carbon dioxide is coming from methane, released generally from anthropogenic sources. Yeah. And Europe doesn't release. Europe and Siberia, there aren't, the releases aren't as heavy in the summertime from these sources, or even the United States. And so this is people running their heating units, gas heaters, whatever, that's what I assume. I could be wrong. Obviously all the input is that we can get is helpful. But this is quite shocking here. And 850 hectopascals, about, what is that, 1,800 feet, somewhere in there? Something like that. And of course, in the colder weather, then I'm assuming that in the colder weather, the methane is going to be less likely to react and break down. And it seems as though, because you have also less light, it is December, so it's darker. So the production of ozone is a photochemical. Ozone is produced photochemically from the presence of methane. Methane is a reaction body. It allows the ozone to sort of, it stabilizes the ozone molecule long enough so that it won't shake back apart. But that's not the most ozone I've ever seen. Later on in the spring, it'll probably get heavier, because that is a photochemical reaction that produces that. And that's it. And really the whole reason I'm making this video is just so that I can document. So I can document this mess here. Total column of methane. And yeah, that's pretty fucking ridiculous, y'all. And I really don't know what to even say about that. I was going to get it way into politics. There was something that, some stuff Elon Musk, I've labeled or I've mentioned, said before that Elon Musk is anti-regulation. And from a video that I just saw, apparently, there's a lot more complexity and nuance in people's arguments. So I'm going to steer away from really characterizing saying somebody is anti this or anti that. It's just that's a little too black and white. His nuanced position appears to be that we need a system to clean out regulations that have passed their prime and aren't really useful anymore. That we end up with a lot of trash regulations that are not germane. So, that can be problematic. Regulations are a sticky wicket, but, goddamn, without them, we'd be fucked, really seriously fucked. I mean, so, yeah, we gotta find a happy medium. We have to have a discussion about what regulations are needed and or not. But there's some shit out there that really has, your forever chemicals that just have to be regulated. I mean, that stuff just has to be regulated. Otherwise, everyone dies. And, it's an axiom. I don't know if I'm the one who thought it up necessarily. I'd like to think that I coined the phrase. Somebody else might have come up with it, but I haven't heard anybody else say it. The axiom is simple. You can't make money if everyone's dead. And forever chemicals, even things like mercury, mercury somebody was telling me, I don't know if it's true or not, it's just total hearsay. Somebody told me that Tony Robbins ate so much swordfish that he was put in a wheelchair from the buildup of mercury in his blood. And there's a way to get that out of there. I might talk about that in a later video. But, anybody's, I with all the weather events that we've had, and I've personally experienced here in my home, over the last year, I don't want to chime in on every little weather event, man. People are getting killed and stuff, and I'm just like, this tornado that just went through, traveled for unprecedented 200 miles across the landscape. In Kentucky and other surrounding areas in Pennsylvania and many Midwestern states and southern states and so forth. large loss of life, and it's just like these people suffered the effects of a nuclear war or something without the radiation. Devastating, nevertheless. And so, I don't want to chime in every time that comes on. I see some people on the internet talking about, they're saying crop yields are down, buy my Patriot stuff, whatever. And that's cool. I mean, look, dude's got to make a living, right? But yeah, people are dying. And this is what the shit's going on here. This is what's up. This is why everybody's the tussle. This is what the tussle is all about. The shit's hitting the fan, and when the methane looks like that, I don't even know what to tell you. I would like to hear somebody else. I would like to hear some big wigs over at NSEP, NOAA, NCAR, and so forth. The European Space Agency. I would like to see them, but you don't ever hear about it from Time Magazine or Wall Street Journal, New York Times. Where the fuck are they? Where the fuck is the New York Times? Where the fuck are you, New York Times? I've been talking about this for years now. Where the fuck are you? Why isn't the public shown this imagery? On one of the most reliable news sources in the world, the New York Times. What's up, y'all? Seriously. That's what I was hoping that, why do you don't have to argue about global warming or climate change or the effects of carbon, carbon in the atmosphere, whatever. Just show them this. There it is. People don't talk about it. They don't understand it. They don't get it, whatever. I don't know. I find that to be pretty fucking compelling. Might just be too scary for some people. They might be afraid that it just cause people to freak out. I don't know. But that shit right there, this crap right here, I'm sorry. If you're not, if that doesn't do something to you, I don't know what. And my question to YouTube is, how is it that one of my first experiences with YouTube is that I made a video that was sort of kind of critiqued McDonald's. And this is a number of years ago, and I think it might have been on another channel even. It might have been on this channel. I think it's called Flipping McDonald's or something like that. So, and you can kind of track. You can see where videos are being viewed and stuff like that, and you can gather a lot of information. The video kind of sort of did okay for a while, and then somebody watched the video and it's in like Scranton, Pennsylvania or something like that. I want to say Scranton, somewhere up in that neighborhood, up in Pennsylvania, and the video died. So somebody in Pennsylvania, and it was there's a famous CEO of McDonald's who had a lot of, he was sort of anti-labor, anti-union, anti-labor, whatever. And it was, the video was not friendly to him necessarily. And I can't remember the guy's name at this point, but yeah, somebody watched that video and that didn't like it, and I guess they made a phone call and bada boom ching bang. See ya. So, and my question to Google, your motto is don't be evil. I gotta, how is it that propping up, I mean, I understand that if you allow your platform to be, if you allow it to be weaponized by people who are just randomly pissed off, you know what I mean? They can do a lot of damage to a corporation's business for no good reason. I mean, that can happen. And I have a more favorable opinion of McDonald's now because they've really acceded to every fucking bullshit demand on them over the years, and they're really not that bad. Although this particular person, you know, he's an asshole, you know. Yeah, random people can just sort of like keep your videos from being viewed. And I'm like, isn't this important enough, Google? Isn't this topic important enough that you could just, you know, let this go through? I mean, isn't it important enough that just random people, randos out there, could maybe be not allowed to sort of do weird things with my subscriber numbers, and you know what I mean? Yeah, it's right. I mean, because how do you know who they're working for? Right? I mean, what are you guys doing? Don't be evil. I got an idea. How about it? I got one even better for you. You get another motto: defeat evil. How about that? Defeat evil with the truth. Is this true? And if it's not, we need to know about it. If this information that I'm looking at right here, that's put forth by the Copernicus Atmospheric Monitoring Service, put forth by the European Space Agency, the European Commission, these guys, implemented by ECMWF. If this is horse shit, we need to know about it. If this is a lie, we need to know about it. If you're saying that it's a lie and you're taking it down, so I'm just reporting on what I see here, and it's like it's criminally underreported. And if you're just going to say, well, not you, but somebody else we like better, then fuck you. You know what I mean? You know? You know, all that class warfare bullshit. You know? Maybe nobody, you know, I thought about it. So, well, maybe nobody really gives a shit. And Larry Page and I can't remember the other cat's name that started Google. YouTube is owned by Google. What's up, guys? Don't be evil. I'm asking. Yeah, just live up to your. Don't be evil. You know, advertiser friendly. You know, what is there anything else? Is there anything out there that rises above the needs of the advertiser? Is this hurting any particular advertiser? They're not going to want to put their name on informing the public about this. Just asking. You know? And like I say, the only reason I'm really making this video is so that I can document this this mess here, which basically happens in December. If this is going on in the summer, then we got big problems, and it'll go sideways in ways that nobody expects. You know, we're talking about, you know, the whole world over the past year. I mean, just everywhere. Europe, Germany, France, Italy, Brazil, United States, China, you know, desert regions, unprecedented rainfall, unprecedented snow in certain areas. So, yeah, I mean, I see people talking, but it's like they're keeping it's a wedge issue because there's plausible deniability. Oh no, it's they're full of shit. It's just so and so talking. Doesn't this doesn't this settle the argument? To me, I was like, well, shit, argument settled. And then we can talk about the veracity of the fucking European Space Agency and how they derive this data and stuff. And is it true and is it not true? If it's not true, we need to know about it. If it is true, we need to fucking know about it. Either way, we need to know about it. Bottom line, and this needs to be on the front page of the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, Washington Post. Come on, y'all. I mean, really. You want to just kick this football around back and forth while this is going on? Day after day? You think the public is not grown up enough to, what I mean? This shit's already breaking loose. I don't know what kind of state, South Africa was breaking loose back in August. I don't know what's going on there. I really haven't kept up with it. I haven't had time to read my newspapers because I have to work for a living. So, but anyway, that's all I got. Love you guys. I'm not an affiliate. I don't sell any affiliate goods. But to me, good things to have are ham radio. They're small nowadays, little handheld ham radios. You can get them pretty inexpensive, $60, $50, $60, $70, $80, somewhere in there. A whistle, like a cop uses, a whistle. Like the whistle in the Titanic. What was her name? Grace? Is that what her name was? Kate Winslet's character. She blew at the end. It's good to have under most circumstances. Just keep it on you, around your neck. If you're driving in snow or whatever, good things to have on your person in your car. It's good to keep a gallon of drinkable, potable water in your car. At least a gallon. In case you get trapped in the snow. Snacks. In case you get trapped in the snow. Toilet paper. In case you get trapped in the snow. Stuff like that, depending on where you live. These are things that are good to have. What else? I would keep my snow shovel inside in certain areas, where it snows above the 30th, 40th parallel, around the 40th parallel and above. Keep your snow shovel in the house, somewhere near the front door, in the living room, so in case you got to dig your way out of your front door. This has happened. God, got to be careful about generators. In Texas, we had some people that suffered from carbon monoxide poisoning because they didn't have their power generator in the right place. They had it too close to the house or in the carport or something like that, and the gas got in the house. So you got to be careful about that. You got to have it, to where it's very well ventilated. And on and on. It's good to have extra provisions, dry goods, beans, all that stuff. And that's it. I love you guys. I don't know what's up with the grand solar minimum. Where we're at with that. I hear a lot of people talking about that and what that does. But, whether that's happening or not, add to that effect this. It's, why does it have to be either or, unless you're carrying water for the petroleum companies. And that's it. My name is Crosby Lyles. Thanks for watching. I love you guys. Take care and don't take any wooden nickels. And that's that. See you. Bye.